Hey, I'm Noel. I'm the editor of enduro.media, and welcome to the Enduro Bureau. With me tonight, as always, is not Garth, but Jared Stock.
Ooh.
Um, hello. Not with us tonight is Jared's partner in crime, Courtney Schmalley. She is off in the thriving metropolis of Red Deer, Alberta right now. So
somebody's got to make the money. We
I
got
like
a
it.
series to pay for.
Yeah, I like it. It doesn't that just run purely on credit?
It has been, yeah.
Yeah,
So
people don't. They probably don't want to get repaid.
no,
Very good.
Visa, MasterCard are all different.
Well, tonight's going to be an interesting one and a fun one. What I said to our guests is we'll just try to keep it mostly on the rails, but I have a feeling it ain't going to happen. So with us tonight is 3/4 of the Team Canada ISDE Men's World Trophy Team. Yeah, this should be fun. So Jared, as you are a member of said Canadian ISDE World Trophy Team, why don't I let you get started on the introductions for who we have here?
That's a tough one because every time I hear the intros at 6 days, it's always so majestic.
Well, go for
But,
it. Be your majestic self.
we tried to do that the other night. We tried recording ourselves in the most majestic voice possible, and it was terrible. So I'm not going to try. You know the old like Monster Energy Supercross. We tried our
Let's
our
get
best.
ready to rumble.
Yeah, Courtney tried that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have two extra guests of the 6 days team here tonight for the trophy team for Canada. Tyler Medallia, as most of everybody knows, super legend in Canadian motocross and I mean really around the globe. And then we have Owen McKill, JR. Coming up in the scene. He's faster than me, so he's starting to chew up my heels, and it's pissing me off. But it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think he was chewing at your heels in Argentina. I think you were like trying to hang on to his, weren't you?
Yeah, he smoked me in Argentina.
Just saying.
Yeah. I was just trying to make myself feel good.
Well, that failed, hey?
Yeah, it did.
Well, hey, welcome, guys. Really good to have you here. Really excited to do this. I hope you guys are on your A game because Jared's been talking you guys up huge. So no pressure.
Oh yeah, I missed that in the introduction. Like my best friends.
That's better.
Yeah, that's
going back to talking about that big beer that we shared in Italy and tarps off. It's kind of one of those things where it's some good friendships. That's that's the goal of this thing. It's awesome.
Right
Exactly.
on. Well, how about we go around and you guys can kind of do your own little intro and a little bit more about who you are and who you ride for. So why don't we start with you, Owen?
Yeah, my name is Owen McKill. I'm 21 years old. I'm from Vernon, British Columbia, born and raised my whole life, and a couple 6 days under my belt now, and I'd like to keep going as many times as I can and hopefully get to, Phil's ranks. I think he's at 8 or 9 now, so
I think he's at 55.
Yeah. Yeah, he won't seem to give it up, but it's awesome. So yeah, been going to 6 days, been 3 times now, and racing off-road, growing up in BC, kind of since the age of 10, and just starting to dabble in the pro ranks now. It's been a lot of fun.
Right on. Who you ride for?
I ride for Gas Canada and Rider's Edge Suspension, as well as Troy Lee Designs and Spy Optics.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, lots of help from those guys.
Yeah, right on. And Tyler.
Yeah, so I'm Tyler Medallia, and I'm originally from Ottawa, Ontario, and I moved to Brookfield, Nova Scotia in 2009. And I currently race for Gopher Dunes, GDR Fox Honda. And dropped back down to MX2 for this season. I'm done. I started into off-road kind of like as a fun thing, and there was these team races in Ontario at Woody's Cycle, and me and my buddies at the end of the year would every once in a while we'd go and we would do this team race at Woody's, and I just really enjoyed riding in the woods. And then yeah, actually when I was down in Florida 1 year training, I got just like on a whim, just me and my dad went out to a GNCC and I got a top 5 overall.
Just kind of
So
happened.
it was
No big deal.
yeah, just kind of happened. I had no handguards. I didn't have a big tank. I just had motocross everything. It was a full motocross bike. We just stopped, unscrewed the cap, and filled it up like 2 or 3 times, and yeah, and then that's kind of how I got hooked into off road, and then that kind of evolved and got into doing ISDE with these lunatics, and it's been good.
Awesome. Jared, why don't you go with your intro?
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess I think I've done it once before here, but Jared Stock, I've been on the 6 days team for 6 go rounds, I think now. But yeah, my background primarily was motocross for my whole life. I mean, did some off road when I was younger, but been racing motocross from when I was 12 to about 22. And then, yeah, I had my first opportunity to go to a 6 days randomly in 2013. They reached out and they're looking to just add some motocross folks. And I think similar to Lexi the other night, just willing to say yes to most every opportunity that comes across the table. And they asked if I wanted to ride the ISDE. And at the time, I was like, absolutely, that sounds like a great time. And then I remember like hanging up the phone and Googling what ISDE was because I was like, not even sure. They just told me it was in Italy. So I was like, sick, let's go race dirt bikes in Italy.
It's a loose program.
Yeah. So that was first year 2013. And then, yeah, I did it once and I was pretty well hooked from that point on. Been doing it every year. Took, I think, 3 years off when I hit my head a little too many times. And I guess 2 years. 1 year I tried to race GNCCs, so I ran out of money and couldn't go. But and the couple years after that, yeah, I had some concussion stuff I was dealing with, and then got back into it once I was feeling better, and that's when I hooked up with the current crew. I've been with Phil at every 6 days I went to, and then Tyler in 2021 in Italy. We raced together, and then Owen came the year after that in 2022 in France, I believe. So yeah, we've been a crew for a few years now, and it's been awesome. But I was just gonna say, I remember going back. I never actually remember Tyler and I raced a lot of the same races, but he was way faster than I was, so I didn't really get to know him that well. But I remember back in I think it was 13 or 14, like my first year or second year racing off road. I was still dabbling in some motocross, and I was running a YZ 250X oversized fuel tank, like not the biggest turkey tank I could find, and at the Calgary National. And I remember Tyler walking by and looking over and going, "Nice." And I was like, we're going to be friends one day, him and I.
Did we just become best friends?
and then we never saw each other until 2021 when he walked in the door of our Airbnb. And then it was like
Yeah, yeah,
reunited.
I remember that because you got a good start too in that like in the 250 class.
Yeah, I almost whole shotted
And
that thing.
and I remember him going over like I was sitting in the like maybe I was up in the tower and I seen the big tank and the huge like 18-inch rear wheel that was black with the tire. It looked like he had a monster truck wheel on the back.
It was Mad Max.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
That if you ever watch that back on the old CMRC YouTube videos, and I'm in the top 5 for maybe like a few laps, but like that thing was valved full off-road bike, like full on. Back then, I wasn't as fast in the woods, so it was pretty squishy. And you could see like landing every jump, even if I buttered it at the transition from the bottom of the jump to flat, it would just bottom out. I'd go into head shake and then hit the next jump. It was hilarious. I have to watch it every once in a while to get a good laugh.
That's awesome. And then the fourth member of the team is not with us. Jared, what did you say he's doing? He said he's doing?
Let me reread that. He was between killing chickens, welding his trailer, and loading his RV to get to Florida for start his training for the year, which may sound weird, but that's just like the typical Phil. It would only make sense that he'd be doing 15 things at once, and
At 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He goes wide open. It's
Food falling out of
impressive.
his mouth.
So-
yeah, and he's gonna come down here. He'll ride maybe like 2 days, and then he'll go straight into the GNCC. That's 3 hours, and it's gonna be like probably 30 degrees, and it's just bottomless beach sand, bumps, and palmetto roots. Like it's a torture fest, and he'll go like off the couch right into it, and it's mental.
Yeah, he knows how to suffer, that dude.
I remember me and Phil were at the Buckwheat 100 this past fall at the GNCC there, and I was geared up, ready to go, kind of warming up, and I see Phil, and he's working on the generator for his trailer. This is like 15 minutes before the race starts, and he's got the generator completely torn apart, like he was doing a valve adjustment. And I'm like, Phil, you got to put some gear on, man. Like, it's time to go. He's like, yeah, I fixed my generator, and
And then we raced the GNCC.
yeah, classic Phil.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, and it's one of the things I said to Jared before we started is like, well, he's not here, so he's now vulnerable. So don't hold back, boys.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't even need like. He loves it. As the dumbest, craziest shit that guy does, he's like all in and loves it, and he's not afraid to talk about it.
So our first episode, our guest was Rachel Goodish, and one of the things she brought up about Canadians at ISDE was Phil in Argentina at the end of it, dancing and ripping his pants open and tearing his shirt off, and how she thought he was trashed, but Courtney talked about how he had
No.
like maybe like 2 sips of beer, and that was just Phil.
Yeah.
He gets into these dancing fits where he'll just start dancing, and then he'll go for so long, like it's embarrassing at first, and then it's funny, and then it's like, dude, what is this guy doing? And then he just keeps going, and then it gets funny again, and then it stays funny.
And then 2.5 hours later, it's still funny.
Yeah.
I love the term dancing fit. That's epic.
Yeah, because it's a fit. It isn't real. It's insane.
He is having a seizure. An episode.
Yeah. Yeah, he took like a red, something like red, and he was trying to get Garcia to run through it like a bull.
Yeah, it was his shirt. He ripped it right down the middle, and yeah, he's dangling the cape. Yeah, he did it.
And there's videos of it too.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Well, good on Garcia for getting on board with the program.
Yeah, he just won overall, so he was. I think he's pretty tight, so I don't think he gave a shit.
Oh man. So I guess I don't know, like where do you guys want to go from here? Like, how did you, I guess, Tyler, how did it go that you ended up at ISDE and walking into this Airbnb in 2021?
Well, 2021 was my second time. I went in 2017.
Okay.
In France.
So Jared was lying.
No,
Jared wasn't there at that one.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't in France. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I went with Nathan Bless.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You went to Portugal too, Tyler, in 19.
Yeah. Portugal was awesome. I really like Portugal. But the first one was 2017, and then I just kind of got a random call from Derek, who was the team manager. asking if I'd be interested in doing it. And then I was like, yeah, absolutely. I just kind of did the exact same thing as Jared. Then I Googled it, like, what the hell is this?
Sounds good.
And then they're like, oh, yeah, it's fun. And I talked to Phil a little bit, and he's like, yeah, you got to learn how to change your tires and all this other stuff. I'm like, yeah, I know how to change my tires. Yeah, but you have to do it in 15 minutes, and it's mooses. And I'm like, you have to do it in 15 minutes? Like what? Take it off the
Yeah.
bike?
Oh, and your
Like,
oil
no,
change.
no. You have to change your tire. You have 15 minutes after riding for 6.5 hours. I'm like, that's mental. But yeah, sure, I'll try it. So then, and my dad came, and I was doing good because I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that there were sections where I needed to go fast, and I ended up winning a couple tests overall. Um, like I didn't even walk all the tests. I walked some of them, and I was like, I'm not gonna remember any of this, so why am I even walking it at all? So then, yeah, and my dad was with me, and me and my dad have this like pretty interesting relationship. Like we get into like these heated arguments, like when stuff gets hectic, but we're a lot alike, so it's like, we got this kind of like a bubbly personality, but then when it's serious, it's serious. So we're in the pits, and he's like, I'm sore from riding for this long. I never really rode that long back then. And I'm really slow at changing tires, and I didn't practice because I was just like, I didn't think that I needed to. So I could, I was so tired and sore, I could barely get the back wheel off the bike, let alone change the fucking tire. And my dad's like, it, he's like trying to talk me through it, and I want nothing to do with listening to him tell me how to do everything. And then I asked him to pass me because I had a regular 12 mil, and I didn't even loosen my rim locks, like all the tricks that you learn from this trial and error. I'm loosening the 12 mil on the fucking rim lock, and it's so slow. And then my dad's just sitting there looking at me. I'm like, give me the ratchet 12. And he's like, what? I'm like, give me the fucking ratchet 12. And like the people from CMA were there, and he's like, well, you're so fucking slow, it doesn't even matter. And we're screaming at each other, and like I'm putting it in, I'm stuffing these stupid things, and I'm like, what do I do? What the fuck do I do? And he's like, you're just not even listening. You'll never get it done. So we're screaming at each other, and it's freaking everybody out, right? And then like I get it done just in the nick of time, and then I come back, and they're probably thinking that we're gonna like start fist fighting. But I come back, we like high five and hug. I'm like, that was amazing, and everyone's like, these people are fucking crazy. Yeah, it's funny too because like one of my first, I think it was maybe my second GNCC. We were in Unadilla, and I was in the top three, and he pulled me in for gas before I needed to come in. And then I was with like, it was Caleb Russell and Fab Duval, and I was right there. And we were within in the first hour, I was still in the top three, and I was feeling good. And then he pulled me into the pits to get gas too soon. And I'm like, I pulled in, and we're like on pit road, and it's all quiet because there was a big gap. And I come in and I scream at the top of my lungs, "You fucked me!" Because then I just lost the toe. And then he yelled something back at me, and then the bike went fire, and we're screaming and yelling, and like we had to bump start the bike. Oh yeah, me and my dad get into it, but it's all good. So that was the kind of like one of the first things I remember about France is just how nuts the event was and how tired and useless I was at working on the bike.
That's
Crazy.
amazing.
I
That's
don't know
a
why. That reminds me of Slapshot, and the referee and the Hanson brothers like, I'm listening to the fucking song.
Exactly. It wasn't far off that.
For anyone who's not from Canada, watch Slapshot. You'll understand.
Learn the rules of hockey.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, and what that's a good topic. What like of the most memorable like experience from the first 6 days? Like that's hard to top because I wish I was there to witness that. I've heard stories about this conversation with Tyler and Derek, and I wish I was there for it. But do you have anything up that alley on?
Yeah. I don't know. My first 6 days was same thing. Lee Freiberger phoned my dad, and he said we need a fill-in guy for the junior team. Would Owen be interested in riding? And my dad goes, "Oh, I'm sure he'd love to." And I knew what 6 days was, but I didn't quite have a grasp of actually what it was. You know what I mean? Same thing with Tyler about changing tires in a certain amount of time, and racing the clock instead of other people. It's a completely different ball game. So my first 6 days, there's not much to write home about it. I would say it went pretty smooth. I remember my claim to fame was I didn't even put a dent in my pipe or break a lever or nothing. I came through pretty unscathed. But
Were you even trying? Like,
that's the thing. This is my test times were dog shit. So yeah. But yeah, you learn a lot in your first 6 days, and you find out what you're capable of on your motorcycle, and you get to see some pretty cool shit. That's for sure.
I mean, outside of rally, when would you guys, as like moto and off-road guys, really get the opportunity to do a stage race? Like, it just doesn't happen. Multi-day.
No, even with cross country too.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing. Like it's so few. Like the corduroy, and
Yeah.
the corduroy was something that I was supposed to do many years. Like I would always talk to Blair, but then something would be like I either contract, but I wasn't allowed to do it, or I was going to the nations, which would interfere with it.
Yep.
And then this year, everything kind of was the first year that kind of aligned, and that's really the only type of race that we have like that we could even really enter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild stuff. Jared, why don't we ask you the question you just asked Owen? Your kind of wildest first time at ISDE.
Yeah, I think I remember, like, the first thing I remember is like I practiced tire changing a lot, and I didn't even know that a bib was a thing, or a moose was a thing. So I ended up getting them that first year just to practice on them, and I was like, okay, these things are terrible. I hate riding with them, and and like the ones I got where I was back home were just like these, like a small little 100 like bib in a big tire. So like tire changing was actually pretty easy. I was like, I don't know what these guys are so concerned about this bib thing. And then I remember getting there, and you get these, you buy your tires when you get there and your bibs, and they're just like these massive 140s, and they're just big, huge balloons. And I remember struggling. Like, I was like, I can't race 6 days. I'm sitting here in Italy. I've flown all this way, and I'm like, I can barely even get this tire changed. And I was like, I might as well just quit. And then, let alone after the first day of like 10K of pavement on the way back, when those bibs are like 600 pounds and trying to break, I was panicking. But as far as like fitness and stuff goes, I trained for it. So I remember, like, I didn't sweat a drop my first 6 days until I got to changing tires. Like, I was calm, cool, collected, get back, and I start changing tires, and I just start freaking panicking on against the clock. But yeah, that was my first day. And then my second day, I remember, like, in Sardinia, we had, like, similar to Argentina, it was like multiple loops the same day. So the tests were just wrecked. And I was like thinking, I raced Alberta off-road races thinking that was going to prepare me for an ISDE, which is like pretty slow speed single track stuff, and it's not really rough. And so I spent that whole season training for it, and I just came into that thing and just got hammered. And I remember I think it was like the third test on the second day, you come out of a corner into huge acceleration chop, and then you go straight into huge braking bumps, straight into a huge concrete rut, come out of it, straight into a huge acceleration chop. And I tank slapped so bad, high sided, and smashed my face on the ground and like destroyed the front end of my bike. And I came back, and my face was already starting to swell because I landed, I don't know how, but punched me right in the face. And I get back, and I remember trying to change the tire, and our Lee would come over me. He's like, so you crashed? And I was like,
Fuck you.
and I know he's just trying to like calm me down in my tire change, but I was like, I remember if I ever get silent, that's when I'm the most frustrated, FYI. And yeah, so the next morning I
You
wake up.
sure?
The next morning I woke up and my whole eye, like I'll send you pictures. No, my whole eye was swollen shut. Like I had the hugest black eye, like I just got in the coolest bar fight story. And it was so like I ended up like the morning of, I had to take electrical tape and tape my eyelids open so that I could see out of my eyeball. And yeah, that was day 2 of my first 6 days. So I rode like a squid after that for a couple days until I kind of got comfy again. But man, I look at my bike back then, like it legit looks like I built a bike for the 1988 ISDE. It just like hacked it together. Like I had to put a battery on it. I bolted like the battery inverted in the number plate. Like it was
Have you got
just
you got a picture of that?
haggard.
Oh,
So
very good.
I do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
do.
you need to see that bike.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And it's like
There's so
embarrassing.
much there's so much that goes on with these races that like you can talk about the stories for hours and hours. Like, man, I remember how awesome Argent or Portugal was. And like I remember so I was leading the class and there was like on day 5 my chain guide wore all the way through. And I noticed it at the like with like one checkpoint to go. And um we had a guy, Jeff Pilon. Is it
Yeah.
Pylon or
Yeah.
Pilon or
Elon, yeah.
Pilon? So he was like following me around because he had some stuff in his bag. I'm like, hey, I need to do a chain guide at the next stop, and we need to go because I didn't know I had like an Achirby's one, but I didn't know how long, and I wasn't sure if I had a rivet link
Yeah.
chain. Like I didn't know how long this was going to take me. So we went like, and like for people who don't know, you have to kind of when you're on the roads and these transfers, you kind of have to follow the speed limits of the roads and stuff. And we were going wide, wide open as fast, and we were going by people like they were standing still. And we caught up to one of the girl riders, and and Jeff does this huge wheelie right beside her, and he's so fired up on what we're doing. Puts it down and was like stoked and shaking his head and like fired right up, and then looks over at I don't know, I can't remember who it was, but she just like didn't even like make it, like didn't even acknowledge that he was there, like was so disgusted at what this guy was doing. And it was so funny. And I remember like laughing in my helmet while we were frantically trying to get back to the pit so I could change the stupid chain guide. And then like remember Tanner
Oh yeah.
Tari
Oh yeah.
when he did his because he did his first one. And after the day 1, he came down in the morning and was like, how are you doing, Sam? He's like, oh, I'm pretty sore. And he had like his hands were all blistered, so he had his hands all taped. And then the next day, like day 2, he'd come down and he had both his wrists taped, his elbows, and we're like, how's it going today? And he goes, oh, it's fucking rough. And then like the next day, like he just like turned into a mummy by the end of it. And I remember thinking like, man, good on him for persevering. And like I remember like how shitty the mornings were when you felt so disgusting. And like even this year with what's your name?
Felicia.
Oh yeah, that's it, Felicia. Sorry,
Yeah.
Felicia. I know her well. I just her like she was like the same type of thing. Almost died of
Yeah.
heat stroke the first day, and then like crashes and barely making it in the time, and like people holding her up in the pits and just like push through. It was like a
I remember messaging
monumental
her
push.
with
Like, it
her a
was
little bit,
impressive.
Yeah.
you know,
So
as
it's
as Argentina went on, and he just like just even looking at what she was typing, it was like you could hear the tired, you know, through the phone, just from her typing text back and forth. Like it was
oh,
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was insane.
Yeah, she pulled
It,
through big time.
Yeah. I remember at the end at the day 5 when she like got back to the pits and took her helmet off, and she's like visibly like upset just because she's like, I just like crying. I'm like, I have no idea how you guys do this. I'm like, I was just like, you just did it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, it's crazy to see somebody get pushed to that point is
So
wild.
with the Canadian team, like one thing that happened this year was, you guys, like, Argentina is far. Canadian ISDE is not a fully funded national program in any respect. And so you guys this year were on rental bikes. Is that pretty much every year? Or,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
yeah,
so it's
for
funny.
the
So yeah,
last
I did that
time.
interview with you before Christmas, Tyler, and I asked you about that, and you were like, I will never go, like, I will
Yeah,
fucking never go to another ISDE without my own bike.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm fully
It's good
still on
advice.
board with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's just been we went to that program like in Italy was I think the first year. Oh no, Tyler and Phil flew their bikes over. So like over COVID, logistically shipping things got to be pretty unreliable and expensive. So the KTM has this pretty good rental program as far as like getting everything over there for you. It costs a ton of because it's all personally funded, so it is a huge expense. And the bikes are stock bikes, which is the stock Euro spec bike. It's an enduro bike. It's not what you spent 200 hours on prior
Stock
to
suspension, and
getting
Yeah.
there. So
or do you?
it's
Well, you tried to take your
for
suspension
sure. I
with you,
mean,
Yeah,
Ty.
yeah, we had and somebody from one of those stupid countries had other ideas about my suspension.
It would
Would
sure
be
look good
good
on
for
their
it.
bike or on their eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
My stuff. Yeah.
yes.
Our stuff never made it on the plane. Me and my dad were traveling together, and I had air tags and my suspension in my gear bags, and I see my suspension bin still in Calgary, and I'm like, oh man, we're sitting in LAX. So we canceled our whole flight path, and then we went from like LAX to Cuba, and
What?
Cuba to Chile, and Chile to Mendoza. It was like, oh man,
But you did end up
yeah,
with
it
your
was
suspension?
quite the milk run.
and then you got scammed.
Yeah, we did. We stayed in LAX
Okay.
and did a baggage claim, and it showed up on a later plane just so we could grab our stuff. But yeah, and Phil drove across the country, not to mention.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably killing chickens
Yeah.
along the way.
Oh
Yeah.
no, he drove 12 hours through the night back up to wherever the hell it
Buenos
right.
was,
Aires, yeah.
Buenos Aires,
Yeah.
like to get his suspension, and then they made him pay 3,000 American dollars in a room with
And
no
no,
cameras.
I'm
Yeah,
just guessing
Like
no
it
it's
was the
receipts.
such a
mafia for
corrupt,
sure.
it's such a corrupt shithole. Yeah, like just a corrupt shithole is what that was.
Oh man, yeah, I forgot about hearing that story. I was like, what? But I mean, it's almost like, that's what happened to the Cove team at Dakar. Like they had to do the like overnight run to Kuwait or Dubai or whatever to get their bikes out of customs and get them back for the start. I mean, just crazy stuff. Yeah.
Well, even
They
the
don't get
Americans,
any help. You don't
Yeah.
get any help from these guys. They don't
Yeah,
care.
no
no,
big deal that it's like,
no,
this massive international event and but whatever. It'll be a while before they go back to Argentina, I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope they don't ever go back. Yeah,
Yeah. I can
Yeah,
scratch that one off my
if
list.
if they go back and it's Talon is going, or is in his prime or whatever, he will be staying home. He will be skipping that one.
So who's
we can
Talon?
study from home, son.
Tell everybody who Talon is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
The Talon is my son.
he's fast.
Yeah, Talon's my son, and he's
He's quick.
up and coming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a ripper.
He's on his way down here. He's probably gonna do. He'll be coming down on the 27th to do a little riding. He probably won't be able to do the first GNCC, but Yeah, but he's coming down. He's got Loretta's qualifiers and stuff, and he's gonna do probably Camp Coker on the way home when
Nice.
we head back. So
Crazy.
Sick.
that.
A good story about Talon this past fall when me and Jared and Tyler were riding at his dad's place there in Kempville. We're riding the sand track in the backyard, and I was rolling around this sketchy sand double every lap, and Tyler pulls me aside. He's like, "What the fuck you doing? Like, you call yourself a professional? My kid hits this on his 65." And I was like, "Oh man, yeah, that one stung."
That
And I hit it
stung.
next lap, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
See, you hit it. That's all that counts.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
the
what
switch
friends are
kicking
for.
the ass. Yeah, and the foot story. That's a good one too.
Yeah,
Jared's foot.
I saw none of that because I smashed a tree on the first lap
Yeah,
and decided to sit out the rest of the week.
yeah.
You know,
that
my
sucked.
toenail just grew back like last week from that. Well, I guess there's not much to it besides we cut in a sick new single track line, and we walked the whole thing with the chainsaw and we cut away everything that was dangerous. And then I think the batteries ran out on the electric chainsaw as
Good
we
enough.
neared the end, and we're like, nobody will. You can see this tree. Nobody will hit it.
Yeah.
And so I think we spun in maybe like 2 laps before I came around that section. And I was like, oh, I feel good. And I just smashed that tree, folded my foot underneath the foot peg. And yeah, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure I broke a toe or something because I couldn't even walk. I just spent the rest of the week chilling out. I didn't ride. And
Well,
yeah,
the best
literally,
part about that video, I have a video of
yeah,
his
that's right.
foot
Yeah.
from that, and he kind of puts his foot into the frame right by the tree, and you can see the bruising, but nobody notices the bruising. Everybody just notices how
The
hairy his
Hobbit.
foot is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
is that a fucking werewolf?
I remember that. That's literally scarred into my memory is you showing me the text from Jeff, and it's just a hobbit foot with a bunch of hair on it. I was like, nobody
So-
cares about me.
So okay, so the one story I want to hear from Argentina for sure, and I'm sure there's others, but Tyler, you're up. So the hand. So you were doing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
considering you're on a rental bike, you don't have your suspension. Like you were running kind of like around P20, up above P20, sometimes a little bit below, but right around there. I think like P18, P20. Most tests, you were doing really well
Yeah.
given the circumstance. And then sort of the information comes back to me that you've encountered something and you're out.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was really, really shitty. And man, I was trying everything I could with that bike, but I would
Yeah.
come down and it was really, really silty and deep, and I would get to the base of these hills, and I was looking at the top of them. I'm like, man, it's taking me 25 minutes to get up this hill.
This is the
The bike
transitions, right?
literally just would not go.
No, in the
It was
test.
just
Oh my god.
no, this is in the
test.
test. I'm the bike is literally on the rev limit. I'm trying everything I can, and I'm just I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm just instantly thinking man, I should have got a 500 because I would just sit on top of it and just go way, way faster. There were sections I was doing hill climbs, and I'm I would be 5 seconds faster just going straight up this hill than I would be on this bike. And then I would override and make stupid mistakes, and just it was just frustrating. I was not enjoying it at all. And then you get a taste of a couple of good tests. You get the first 2 days out of the way, you're starting to get into the groove. It was really, really hot day one, and I got through it. I raced it fine. I had no issues with the heat. My recovery was good for the next day. I was really stoked on that part of it. And then we're doing the transfer on a new day. Come down into this gully. I'm kind of just cruising, and I'm looking ahead up the trail, and there's a little bit of dust. and I washed out the front end on this like just like this tight little left-handed corner. There was sand on this flat rock, and it just instantly took the front wheel. I just put my hand down to stop it, and one of those barbs from the tree was like sitting straight on the rock, and my hand went into the like a
Ugh.
uh, like a shingle nail. It was
Yeah.
about the size of a shingle nail, but a little bit longer, and it went right through my hand.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it broke off inside. So I pulled my glove off, and the guy from Brazil came and we squeezed and pulled it out. And when he pulled it out, he like looked at it and it was like his eyes went like that. Holy shit! So then I had a good bit of adrenaline for the next like hour and a half, and then it progressively started getting more and more sore. And I could feel my glove like getting really tight, and it was aching, and I was like, "Fuck, I just had to do this last test, and then hopefully I can get some ice on this thing." And then yeah, the I was pretty much tortured on the way back to the pits, and then overnight I got sick and sweating and just had the shits, and I knew something wasn't right. And then I went back and they're like, yeah, you need to go to the hospital, and a bunch of needles and all this other stuff. And then I couldn't race. And
So what was
that
the
was a
deal?
bit of a
Was that tree or
depressing
the
moment.
thorns? Are they
But
poisonous or?
no, I don't think so. But they say that they get like a not like a vaccine, but kind of like a vaccine to protect them from whatever like type of
Bacteria.
shit bacteria
Locals
that's
keep
in
up on
there.
it. Yeah.
So obviously I didn't have that, but the fact that I had like my gloves on that were dirty and full of oil, and it was just being beat on, and it's hot, and yeah, dirt got in there, and it just got really infected and fat, looked like a cactus net.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It was brutal. It was brutal. Like, and then like um I went to like I couldn't even brush my teeth. I couldn't even hold like there was 0% chance that I could have rode with it like that. It was yeah, but it's all
Yeah.
good. I mean, that's just part of the experience. You live and learn, and there's nothing really I could have done, honestly. Like aside from like not like just being a little bit more focused, I guess, on and not tipping over on that section. Yeah, it's just hard to.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess that's one of the things about ISDE is staying focused for like 6 or 8 hours on the bike.
It's
Yeah.
tough. It's like in Argentina. I don't even think I can count how many times in the transfers I just randomly wadded up, like
Yeah.
and smash yourself, like rip my pants off, like it's just everything sharp and
Yeah,
there's
and I
no
did.
traction.
I fell once, and that was it. Just
Yeah,
one time, tipped over too. Like it was on an angle too. Like I almost could have just held the bike up. But
Not to
yeah, it's
mention
just
those trees are littered like every 10 feet on that whole country too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
you think it's funny, like those bushes are like, you hit a bush up here and you're like, the tree will move when you hit it. There's some pushback, but it's like you'll go through the bush. But
Yeah.
for some reason, those ones down there, it's like they were waiting for you with a baseball bat. You tag one of those things, it's like, somebody smash you with a bat, and you fly off the bike. You're like, what the hell did I just hit?
yeah. It's like they're
Ugh.
it's like they're cemented in place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when that happened, did you,
Wild.
yeah, did you guys
But
like,
moving on.
commiserate and, sympathy and empathy, or what was your reaction?
It's, I think we all understand what goes on. And honestly, like, you're so, um, you're bummed for Tyler, but you're so focused on what you're trying to, achieve and survive
Hmm.
through that you
Yeah.
don't really think of it on your end as a negative. It's just like, all right, like it's, that we're
Yeah.
really just accustomed to knowing like shit happens
So you're
and
saying you
we got to
didn't give him a
keep
hard time.
keep trucking along. And No, I mean,
Oh,
I
that's
even went and
nice.
cuddled with him for a little bit, just to.
Yeah.
I gave myself a hard enough time. Trust me.
Yeah,
Brutal.
exactly.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I guess what's the weirdest thing you guys have seen ever at an ISDE?
Phil ordering pizza that had salmon on
Oh,
it.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
quick answer. I was trying to think there, but that one definitely tops charts
We were,
And
in France,
yeah,
of all
we were
places.
walking tests in France, and we had like a little Ford Transit rental car van, and there was like a partition wall with the front two driver's seats, and then the back was just empty. So
Yeah.
we grabbed lawn chairs from our Airbnb, and me and Tyler and Phil were riding in the back. And Phil's like, "Yeah, I'll grab us some pizza. Phone this place, whatever. It'll be good." And I just remember like we're all hot and sweaty, and the smell of the pizza entering the back of the van. Like, Phil, what's on that pizza? Oh, salmon. It would be good. I'm like, no, dude, I don't want
Oh,
any of
people get upset
that.
about pineapple, never mind salmon. Holy.
Yeah,
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 yeah, it was absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
Go
and
without
it
a question.
it
we were
stayed
all
in the
starving.
fridge for like 3 days.
Yeah,
Every time you open the fridge in the kitchen, you're like, "What the hell is
I
that
can still
smell?"
smell it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jared, your weirdest thing you've seen?
Oh. Hmm. Uh, we were driving in. So, preface to the story: you need a certified chest protector for FIM competitions, and
Okay.
no matter how many times we've been told or we know in advance, somehow we always make an error and don't have the right chest protectors. It even happened this year, but this was, I think it was France. Oh, no, it was Italy, Tyler, where we drove I'm gonna say a good 100 people failed the technical inspection for chest protectors. So with like the circumference of bike shops that were getting chest protectors were sold out. So like we were that year, we were near the end in tech inspection, so we're like one of the last teams to go through. So like all these chest protectors were sold out. So we drove probably like 2 hours or something crazy to a dealership that had a chest protector in stock. And when we were driving there, we're like, this was in Italy, right, Tyler?
Yeah,
um, we were driving and I don't know if we made it already to the dealership, but like it's a shit show trying to find parking and somewhere you don't know the language, all that stuff. But we park and then we see like we're walking down and in an alley is like tablecloth covering something that looks like a body, and we're like, what is going on? And then it so happens that there was a shooting and there was a body laying there, and we're like, oh wow. So we get in the car, get our chest protectors and bail, and then we end up getting pulled over like minutes later, and they're just like, it seemed like they were grilling us for some information, and we're like, nobody spoke Italian, not even close, and we're trying to figure out what they wanted. We gave them our passports, and I don't exactly remember how it ended, but that was an odd scenario.
yeah. There was a legitimate dead person on the street with
Yep.
Oh, wow.
a yellow tarp over it.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
That was messed up.
Yep.
Um, I
That's
remember
pretty weird.
in Portugal, we were walking tests, and we went to this little restaurant, and they brought out food, and you had a choice between fish or pork, and the fish was like for sure caught in the backyard. There's a little brook. There was a brook in the backyard, and these guys for sure fishing it because it just looked like these little jerked off fish. Like there was in it. So he brings out. It was a pretty good split. So he just like made this big like silver platter full of the options. Like half of it was just these fish, and the other half was just diced pig. And I'm talking like it was pink, like it was like heated up.
It was rare.
It was rare, but it wasn't even cooked like traditionally. It looked like
Uh,
it was put in hot water for like 15 minutes. And sure as hell, there's a snout the snout is on the thing, like a
Snout.
if you just took a pig and you cut its snout off, and it's like this big around, right, like a skateboard wheel, and it's got the two holes in the front and little like hairs that have been melted off, and then
Ugh.
I'm like, what the hell is that? Who's gonna eat that? And then Phil just grabs it, picks it up with his hand, and just eats it, like takes a bite out of it like an apple. And he goes, no, it's pretty good. And eats the whole thing. He ate the whole pig snout. And that was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life, let alone at ISDE.
That could be a topic on its own. Is Phil's reaction to eating anything that is placed in front of him in a foreign country?
Yeah.
I think
he's just got a go for it mentality.
Yeah, like in Argentina, like they pretty much throw an entire carcass on the barbecue and fry that thing up. And I remember the first year, because we actually raced in Argentina in 14, and best part about Phil and I's friendship is that when I first met Phil, he didn't know any English, and we had to become friends speaking two different languages. So it was a good time. And that's actually what I was looking forward to tonight. Was I was going to be the official translator for Phil's special English language, because like our whole friendship is me and him, like in a conversation, even when he's talking and his wife's next to him, he'll say something in English, and everybody's like, what did he just say? And I'm like, oh, he just said this. And even his wife's like, how do you know what he's saying? And anyway, so the first year in Argentina, it was like the worst thing that I couldn't put down was like the intestine. So it's just like enlarged hollow spaghetti with whatever remnants was inside that thing. And
it's just gross.
And Phil's first thing, fork and knife, cuts it, and then he just throws it in. And he's probably a good 35 chews into this one piece. And I was just like, oh man, I couldn't do it. Like if I can't swallow something in 2 chews, it's out.
Brutal. Okay, so ISDE 2024, Spain.
Should be a good one.
Are you guys? Yeah. Everybody's feeling good.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I think
stoked to ride our own bikes too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get our own bikes over there, and I think even after the Argentina, I think we're all pretty like over it by day 6, and day 7 when we woke up was like, let's go to Spain. Like I can't speak for everybody, but I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page where it's just like we're ready to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, we hit everything running here, and this year in Alberta or on the West Coast, anyways, we're really trying to put together that sprint series so we have a platform to train on, and help us all elevate to like Tyler's level, which would be nice.
Hopefully soon too, like overnight. That'd be cool.
Yeah, if we could
like just one day.
Yeah, 6 tests in a row. If I'm as fast as Tyler, that's my goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that would be good. We need to step it up. But yeah, I mean, for sure, I have 2 years of redemption that I need to get. So I'm ready to go. I really, really enjoy the event. I think it's great. I wish we could do I wish there was an enduro GP or something in Canada, or at least maybe one in the States too, so we could do this type of racing a bit more. But yeah, I mean, I love it, and anytime I get to have the chance to do it, I would love it. I'm looking forward to doing it on on these new like the new Hondas that I'm riding right now. They're really, really nimble and fun to ride, so it's exciting.
That's awesome.
Well, I talked to you a little bit about this, Tyler, when we spoke late last year. So your new year, new team with GDR Honda.
Mm-hmm.
And how are they with you being on an off-road? Like you're contracted to be a motocross rider.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how are they with the whole off-road program?
I think that's one of the that was one of the features that they liked about my program, is just like a little bit of diversity and get Honda into, a little bit of the spotlight inside of our big events in Canada. Like, I'll try to defend the cord on a Honda, and get some wins in FMSQ after the
Yeah.
season's done, in on a Honda and stuff. So they're excited about that, I think. And I know in the past it was an exciting thing, even for, on a Kawasaki. I think they still have my bikes from Portugal in the office at the headquarters. So
Cool.
yeah, I mean, it's a good thing for a brand to, to try to do good and to expand it a bit, since our nationals, there's 8 rounds, and it's important, obviously, with the television and the exposure it gets. But yeah, it's just to grow the off-road segment, and with how popular woods riding is becoming, especially in the
Yeah.
East Coast, that yeah, it's good to show that there's other brands that are just as good or better than the Austrian stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
definitely. So who do you guys see? And Tyler, you're not allowed to say Talon. Um, who do you guys see? Like, there's fast kids all over North America. We're here in Canada. Who do you guys see as like the coming up next crew?
Definitely Hayden Dupuis for sure. That
Yeah.
kid's been ripping.
I mean,
Um, watching him ride, and the talent and the control that he has at such a young age, I feel like he's so much farther ahead than I was at that age, and he's going to be one of the best riders to come out of Canada for sure.
yeah. Yeah, that was he's a pretty easy choice. I just don't know the east side of the country for this stuff too much yet. And that's something I'm really interested in learning is, who on the east is coming out.
There's a kid that races FMSQ that's really quick. He was 14, I think. He rode super minis this year, and he was really quick. Yeah, and like those guys said, like Hayden Dupuis is really good. I know Talon is going to be
Yeah.
into off road, just because he loves riding in the woods, and he's going to be chomping at the bit to do like something like ISDE, where it's a
Yeah.
a long race and just something cool. Obviously I wished that I got into it a bit sooner myself, but there's a good crop of kids that are coming up that are fast right now. So whether they want to apply themselves to that segment, and want to invest in it, and try to get better at multi disciplines, it's tough, right? Especially with parents, and you know um, visions, and like where they want to see their kid go, and it's
Yeah.
tough. You get pulled both ways, but where do they want to be, and what dreams do they have, right? So there's talent in Canada for sure.
I mean, it sort of feels like if, a kid's looking to take the pro path, it might be a little more of a, it's a different road, but maybe it's a little more of a wide open road to go the enduro side. It's not quite as jammed up as motocross would be. And maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're right. It's just like, there's opportunity to do it for a living
Yeah.
in motocross,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
I yeah,
um,
it's not quite there yet in enduro.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not, but I mean, it's getting there. Like, it's
It's
close.
coming. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, just market share alone would probably tell you that it's gonna come.
I'll add one more name to that list who I've been keeping my eye peeled in Alberta is Sawyer Shell. He's a motocross at the beginning of things, and then he's been making that transition a lot in the last couple of years. And I just seen him. He's one of those kids that's willing to hone in skill sets across the board. So I think that's really interesting what he's doing. And I think once he starts to really get pull things and piece things together, he's going to be ripping.
Yeah, I mean, he's fast, really fast on the motocross track. He's fast as anything off road. He's an intense competitor.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he's really working on building a hard enduro skill set, it looks like.
Yeah, he's got a little everything
He,
going.
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
mean,
there's a kid in Ontario too that's really good. This Gavin kid that rides a gas gas.
Yeah.
He's a good motocross rider, and he rides in the woods. I think he did the corduroy for the first time this year. He's an up and coming kid, because he's really good at motocross. Same type of deal. rides in the woods, puts studs on his bike, like just the hardcore kind of stuff that's like that will take you there.
Yeah.
So one of the things Lexi Pichot talked about last week was, kind of how ISDE has evolved from, it's evolving from, a single track kind of thing to it's a little more wide open. Like, you look at some of those tests in Argentina and some other tests, you watch online and, it's pretty wide open. It looks very moto-y, high speeds, big features, and that's something that I think we're going to see is like those kids that are, you're gonna get the kids who are fast on a motocross track and can bring that speed in transition over to woods riding, enduro riding, ISD, like test riding.
Yeah, for sure. I think the one hard part about, you know, we just don't in our on our end of the country anyways, we don't have that style of racing for off-road side of things to explore that speed. Um,
Yeah.
we look at like a lot I've noticed in the last handful of years have started to race some of the local motocross series, which is great. It gets them, more comfortable with that. And I just look down in the States, those kids coming through GNCCs and stuff like that. Like those courses they're gnarly, but they're also fast. And,
Yeah.
they're building that skill set right from the get go. So, if we can try to sprinkle in some of that race style, I think we can have, you know, people coming in from and both because we actually thought about it for our series. We're gonna have a crossover award or some sort of acknowledgement on crossover athletes, and it won't be just motocross. We'll bring in motocross crossover and also cross country because to be fast at a enduro format test, it's not just an XC guy or a moto guy. It's actually like you could come from two totally different spectrums from where we're from, anyways, and bring that into a sprint. And we want to be able to display both that. So it should be pretty interesting to bring that in.
So when you look at something like FMSQ and compare it to a GNCC style race, like is that a pretty close approximation of what you see over there?
It's getting closer, yeah.
Yeah.
Certain events are.
Yeah, because out here, like in Alberta, the cross country races tend to be a little more, kind of to the hard enduro side. Like they, it seems like they sprinkle in some big features, and it's not, necessarily like a speed cross country event.
Correct.
Oftentimes.
Yeah. Yeah. More
Yeah.
often than not, for
So,
sure.
yeah. Is that something like you guys are going to have what I think two cross country races in your series out here, Jared?
Yeah. Yeah. We have two. And yeah, we're just basically going to benchmark FMSQ and GNCCs to.
I like how when you say benchmark, because you don't want to say like I'm taking the idea.
Yeah, exactly. I learned that when I was in the business world back in oil and gas. That's a great idea. We'll benchmark that.
We'll benchmark that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it. Owen just texted. He said his phone died, so he might be coming back on here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna just basically do, create that, and you know what? We don't know if it'll work. We don't know if anybody's going to stick around, but we're gonna try to bring it in and
Yep.
see what happens.
I believe Jared said that maybe some of you guys are going to come out west and race a little bit.
Owen,
or there was discussion of that.
yeah, I've been trying. It's my goal.
Yeah.
I would really like to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler's schedule is tough with like we mentioned, his contract with motocross. We probably could have lined it up if there was the big kahuna, but I haven't heard anything on that forefront if that's going to be happening or not. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's getting late in the day.
yeah, for sure. I think, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I'm pretty sure it's not happening. And then, yeah, I've been, trying to organize it with Phil if he can get out here, and we try to keep all the dates offset from FMSQ so that we could encourage some cross country, the literal mean across the country racing.
Yeah.
Because I'll try to go out and get some FMSQs under my belt as well if I can afford to take off a bit more work than I will this year.
Yeah, the FMSQs are growing right now. They're really good, and they're expanding too because we had one in New Brunswick at Crab Mountain.
That's right.
Which was only 4 hours from where I live in Nova Scotia, so that was awesome. And you know, and that's yeah, it's getting bigger, and the events are packed, and yeah, it's a really good time, and it's really competitive. So it's,
Yeah.
it's good racing for sure.
I'm really looking forward to going out east to check out as many of the FMSQ rounds as I can possibly make happen.
Yeah.
Before you guys went down to Argentina, I sat down with Jared and did a little interview and, asked about goals. And I think I'm trying to remember what you said, like you guys were looking at, trying to crack top 5, I think, in Argentina.
Yeah, I think we were looking to just best our overall result from 2021 when we got the Watling award for
Yeah.
best performing team or best, I can't remember exact definition, but we were pretty stoked on that. It was the seventh, and we all did our part, and it was pretty cool, and so we felt good about it, and that's always been kind of the carrot afterwards. So I think to I don't know the math behind what we'd have to do to get that trophy again, but it was, just do the best we can, and hopefully that's enough to um, increase that position from previous years. But yeah, it's good. I mean, I think we set the bar high for our team and where we're at right now, so it's constantly a push.
Yeah. I mean, so thinking ahead to Spain this year, you guys are going to be on your own bikes, which is going to be, you're going to be on race bikes, not rental bikes. So, you know,
Yep,
that should be a help.
yep,
Um, I mean, probably a much bigger field in Spain than there was in Argentina.
for sure.
Have you guys talked amongst your squad about, you know, where you want to push it to, or where you think you might be able to push it to beyond, like it'd be cool if we got the Watling trophy again, or
It wasn't really discussed, but I mean, like, yeah, the first thing is to like just not have, yeah, goofy shit happen. You just got to be in the moment, right? Like, and
Yeah,
and just push. And I think just step one is having your own stuff there and
yeah,
being comfortable, and like being there at the right amount of time and walking all the tests and like getting video and
yeah,
just studying and just trying to be better. The platform, I guess, the blueprint of how to be better is there. Just got to,
yeah.
nail it. Really, it's all.
exactly.
Do you see the potential growing for Canada to get more of a supported program?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's so much money. It's definitely going to Spain is definitely a little bit more feasible, especially from speaking from being not too far from there as far as like where I'm located, right? Like it's easy to get to Spain again compared to Argentina or like even like Germany or France and stuff. Like Spain seems to be fairly easy, simple,
Yeah,
but you never know.
yeah. I've been doing it so long now that you kind of become numb to the possibility of getting some more sport, but we do everything we can as individuals to make up what we need to do. There's no way I'd be able to race 6 days if I didn't have some of the support that I have. I bust my balls and do the fundraising and do riding schools, and I've raced years on 6 days entirely on credit cards, which is terrible. And it's a hard thing to dig out of, but
I'm
um,
I'm sure your wealth management guy doesn't like that.
yeah, you're looking at
Yeah.
it. But yeah, no, it's I would love to sit down and even round table it to see what a person could do, and
Yeah.
I have all sorts of ideas, but it's hard to be the rider, the fundraiser, the mechanic, the all that stuff. So it's like if we could, maybe when I retire, I'll take that on and try to make it better for the next people. But it's really hard to make those small steps forward when you're just focusing on being the racer. It's
Yeah.
that's our job, and I wish I could just focus on that and not try to have to do it all. But it's
It's the reality here.
the next generation will hopefully have it better than me.
Well, there you go. What about this year? Is there talk of a junior team going for Canada this year?
Yeah, there is. Um, I don't know how it's all going to shake out yet for who
Yeah.
and what. I think it's all pretty preliminary, but it's looking pretty strong for a trophy, a men's trophy, a women's trophy, and a junior trophy, and I think some
That's
club teams.
fantastic. That'd be amazing to
Yeah.
have a bigger Canadian presence there.
Yeah,
For sure.
and it always happens. It does kind of get inflated at the beginning of the year, so we'll see who
Yeah, sure.
sticks it
Yeah.
out and wants to go forth with it. But we definitely encourage it, and yeah, I mean, it's part of why we wanted to do this podcast was if we can get more people, you know, to see the energy and the experiences that we all get doing it. Like you just got to go do it once, and you'll snag those people that want to do it again.
Well, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's an unreal event.
Yeah. And especially like this year in Spain, like it's going to be big crowds. It's going to be probably next level.
For sure.
And close to Portugal too. So, you know, and it just circles back to what, you know, Jared, you brought it up at the beginning, what Lexi Pichot was saying last week on the podcast, that you know, just say yes.
Bureau.
The enduro. It's hard to say. Like, I kind of have regrets, but the enduro bureau. You got to say it slow. You got to say it slow. But yeah, like it's that mindset of saying yes and yes to adventures and like prioritizing that.
Yeah.
And you know, you can find a way to make things happen.
Definitely.
Any last, because Phil's not here and now Owen's not here. Like any last stories?
This whole thing was kind of like a 6 days. Owen's gonna DNF this one. He's not here. Just Tyler and I getting gold medals.
Nobody
today.
likes a quitter.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, like you say, we could spend hours and just take a second to think about just the shenanigans that goes on, what you see and how you feel, and the experiences that you get, and the people that you know meet and go through things with, and just sorting it out. It's really hard to explain, but it's really good.
It's about the people, right? Like it and the experience.
Yeah. It is. I certainly encourage, you know, people that are listening in our country to give it a try. I mean, it's changed my life completely as far as the path and where I've gone. I mean, I probably would have quit racing a long time ago if it wasn't for this event and the people I've met. I would have probably got burnt out of racing moto a long time ago. And yeah, it's a life-changing experience. And if you do it once and you don't like it, then at least you got to travel somewhere.
Yeah, you have an adventure and you've probably got about 1,800 stories.
Driving down an Italian highway, trying to get through a toll booth with Ryan Wyatt, our dog, the MVP driver of the Italian 6 days. Do you want to know how much money Ryan spent on speeding tickets from Italy?
Yes.
Like thousands.
Really? like photo radar just getting pulled over all the time?
No, photo radar. I guess they have them all over the place.
Lesson learned.
And I think actually the majority of them came from when we went to Rome afterwards. When remember you guys couldn't fly out because the COVID testing place got shut down before we got there. I can't remember exactly why, but you had to delay your flight another day. So we went and got some hotel rooms in Rome, and like just to drive down the front street of this, there's certain streets in Rome that are like pay streets. So like you can drive, you only can drive certain ways, and if you want to take this one road, you got to pay like a certain amount of euro every time. And so that hotel we were staying at was on one of those streets, and Ryan probably did like 20 laps.
I just like
trying to find a parking spot.
You say that like how many speeding tickets you got, and then you're like, oh well, there's cameras, and then like cut scene him going to test, fucking wide open in the car, like on two wheels, just getting nabbed at every turn.
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, Ryan's my cousin, and then that year he came with as a support guy, and so there's like time controls and special tests, and Ryan made it to every single one in the rental car as we were going through. So like some of these were like an hour apart, and he would get there, and we'd have like an hour transfer or like 30-minute transfer, and yeah, he's I think we contemplated canceling his credit card at one point because it all came to the rental car company and then would just get ticketed to his. It was crazy, and I think he ended up
Oh,
being the right thing and paying them all off, which
Yeah,
is
these are the
I'll have to
experiences
ask him
you
how much
get.
the total bill was. I felt pretty bad, but
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. Like you said, it's a loose program.
yeah, if you want to if you want to go for the record
That's
of
great.
collecting the most speeding tickets, you should come to Spain.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, anytime, guys.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Look, hey, Tyler, thanks so much. Looking forward, looking forward to seeing you when you come out for the Triple Crowns out here in the AB. And definitely looking forward to seeing you in Spain, man.
Yeah, I'm glad that I got to come on tonight, and yeah, hopefully we can do another one here shortly. Maybe talk about some of the GNCCs
That'd be
coming up or
awesome.
something.
That would
How
be
they
great.
go.
All right, man. Well, hey, go to bed. It's late in Florida.
Yeah,
All right, man.
thanks for
Yeah.
staying up, Tyler. See ya.
Peace
Later.
out. Bye.
Yep. See you guys.
Well, that was pretty fun.
Yeah, we didn't even.
I enjoyed that immensely.
That was perfect.